Okay, let's just dive right into this one. Quick show of hands, did you, at any point today, catch yourself talking out loud to, well, yourself? Don't worry, you're not going crazy. In fact, science says you might just be a genius.
You know what I'm talking about, right? Maybe you're muttering to yourself while trying to find your keys, or walking yourself through a really tough problem at work. It's a habit so many of us have, but for some reason, we usually try to hide it.
Let's be honest, society hasn't been too kind to self-talkers. The general consensus has always been that it's, well, a little unstable. You see someone on the street having a full conversation with themselves, and our first instinct is usually to give them a pretty wide berth. But what if I told you that whole stereotype is completely wrong? Like, not just a little wrong, but the exact opposite of the truth. Turns out, science and history, for that matter, have a much more flattering take on this little habit. See, this isn't just some fun idea to make us feel better. It's a real, recognized psychological phenomenon. Talking to yourself isn't a weird quirk. It's actually a high-level cognitive strategy that gives your brain a serious performance upgrade.
The official term for this is external self-talk, and what you're doing really is taking a thought from the abstract, messy world inside your head and turning it into something concrete, a sound. You're literally giving your thought a physical form that your brain can hear and process all over again.
Now, here's where it gets really cool. The reason this works so well has to do with a specific part of your working memory. It's called the phonological loop. Just think of it as your brain's own built-in temporary voice recorder.
So this loop has two parts. You've got the phonological store, which is like your inner ear. It holds onto sounds for just a second or two. Then you've got the articulatory rehearsal, your inner voice, which mentally repeats those sounds to keep them from fading. But when you talk out loud, you create this incredibly powerful feedback system. You're feeding the information back into your actual ears, making the memory way stronger and just bypassing the limits of silent thinking. Just look at the difference here. A silent thought? It's abstract, it's fleeting. But a spoken thought? That's a real thing. It's a concrete auditory stimulus. It activates not just the language centers of your brain, but the auditory centers too. You're taking a slippery little idea and turning it into something solid, which is a massive boost for your memory and focus.
And we're not talking about a tiny little boost either. Research has actually found that talking yourself through a task can increase your problem-solving ability by up to 30%. That's a huge cognitive advantage, and all you have to do is just talk.
A famous experiment by psychologists Daniel Swigley and Gary Lupian showed this perfectly. So, imagine you're in a big supermarket looking for, say, a banana. In the first trial, you have to search in silence. In the second, you walk around repeating the word banana out loud. The result? Every time, people found the banana significantly faster when they said its name. Saying the word primes your brain. It activates all the visual cues for banana, helping you spot it in the crowd.
Okay, and if you're still not convinced, you should know that by talking to yourself, you share a habit with some of the most brilliant people who have ever lived. You are in very, very good company.
Let's start with maybe the most famous example of them all, Albert Einstein. He was known to be a pretty solitary guy, but he was far from silent when he was alone. It was actually a core part of his thinking process. He did it to ensure thoroughness in thinking. By saying his incredibly complex, abstract ideas out loud, he could hold on to them in his working memory long enough to really examine them and check for flaws.
And Einstein wasn't the only one. That brilliant inventor Nikola Tesla was another well-known self-talker.
In fact, during periods of really high sensory input, like a lightning storm, Tesla would use his own voice as a kind of auditory command system. It was his way of focusing and organizing the incredible, intense visualizations and inventions that were constantly swirling around in his mind.
And the list just keeps going. Charles Darwin used it to analyze his own thought processes, to literally think about his thinking. Sir Isaac Newton? He was famous for isolating himself to achieve intense focus, a state that is practically made for self-talk. And Michelangelo? With that extreme obsessive fixation on his work, you can be sure that involved a constant external dialogue to manage his creative genius.
So, what does this all mean for you when you're muttering to yourself in the cereal aisle? It means you should absolutely embrace it. You're using a powerful tool, not showing a sign of weakness. I mean, just look at all these benefits. Talking to yourself improves your focus, it supercharges your problem solving, it enhances your memory, it even helps regulate your emotions, and ultimately, it makes you more self-reliant. You literally become your own best collaborator.
So the next time you catch yourself doing it, don't think of it as being eccentric or weird. Think of it as being efficient. It's a sign that your brain is firing on all cylinders, using every single tool at its disposal to process the world more effectively.
As the psychologist Dr. Paloma Maribeffa puts it, that classic image of the mad scientist talking to themselves, that might not be about madness at all. It might just reflect the reality of a genius who uses all the tools they have to maximize their brain power.
So, go ahead, lean into it, have that argument with yourself. That little conversation might just be the most intelligent one you'll have all day. You're not being weird, you're just being smart.